Hello, everyone. This is Eric Anderson, host of YXE Underground, saying hello to you. And I'm at the Rock and Bloom headquarters with one of my favorite people in the world,
Lisa Greig.
Hi, Lisa.
Do you like how presumptuous that was? That you say your favorite person. I'm like, oh, it must be me. He's looking at me.
I never thought of that. It was meant to introduce you. That was really good.
Oh, yeah, right? Just right on cue. Me being like, me.
Yeah, me. Yeah. Oh, that was fun. How are you?
I'm good. It's Friday, right? And we're sitting and not walking and out of the wind. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Before I ask you what's on your mind, I do have to share with you. The last episode we did sparked a lot of feedback from people. Positive feedback, great stories, all surrounding the idea of a family meeting. So can I share with you something that my dad texted me?
Oh my gosh, always.
Okay. Where is it here? Okay. So my dad says, Mom and Dad listen to all the episodes. He says, yes, Eric, I remember having one family meeting when you were in grade 3 and Mary, my sister, has started kindergarten. We sat at the old wooden table in the kitchen. I think it may have been the result of your famous quote to me one time that year when you said, "You're not the boss of me." Based on the outcome of the meeting, we didn't have a second family meeting. At least that's how I remember it. And so I apologized to him. I was like, oh my gosh, like why would I say that? And then he went on to say that it was because that day at school, the teacher, I think grade 3 would have been Mrs. Kettner, we were talking about how, remember the whole my body's nobody's body but mine?
Oh my gosh, we're the boss of our bodies.
We're the boss of our bodies. So my father saying family meeting, well, you're not the boss of me.
Oh my gosh, that is so, it's true though, right? Like our little brains, like where they go.
Mm-hmm. I felt so silly for saying, I don't remember saying that, but I remember the old wooden table, and I remember we didn't have family meetings, but I guess it was all because of me. And I have a hard time picturing myself being that like bold to my dad, being like, well, you're not the boss. But I think it was because I just learned that I'm the boss of me.
You were like, just like newly empowered ginger snap you, just like throwing it down, being like, I'm going to try this out. And like, you're probably like, oh my gosh, this worked. We got a meeting out of it.
Yeah. Just anyways, and there was lots of other stories from people and even some of Jen's friends saying like, oh, we've tried to do family meetings. One of Jen's friends, Amy, who is a teacher, they call it cocktail hour on Fridays so that the kids have a little bit more fun with it, and they all have like juice and all that kind of stuff, but trying to get people together. But family meetings.
I know, and I think like, I mean, in a way, it's such a like, I don't know, a lost art too, because like, oh my God, we don't gather anymore as families, like many, because when you think about, I guess like not us, because we're not in extracurricular activities, but so many families are like just Uber driving their children to a million different activities. And it's like, you're not even gathering around the dinner table because, well, someone's maybe working, or you're like racing off to somewhere else, or you're just doing pickups and you're just trying to keep your head above water. But it's like, yeah, like it's really hard to even get a family all in one room right now.
Yeah, it's very true. I do think my dad appreciated the fact that you called the family meeting and that you laid it out in terms of like, here's everyone's roles. And I'm sure my dad would have liked to have done that back in 1989, 1990, but apparently I wasn't having any of it. So thank you for sparking that.
I love that we like just went a little bit down nostalgia lane.
Yeah,
it's so funny. Yep.
Lisa, what's on your mind?
Oh my, like, why am I never prepared for this question? Okay, this is like, and don't worry, we won't make it like political, but election season is on my mind. I think that is what's on my mind right now.
There's many different ways to go for that. In what ways? Are we talking lawn signs? Are we talking policies? Are we talking good qualities in leaders? Where would you like to go?
Like D, all of the above. Like it's, yeah, I think it is. Like I mean, we're in it. It's also like our election season, like being in Saskatoon, like municipally, provincially, federally. Right? No, not a federal election this year.
Fingers crossed, no. And I say that selfishly because, like you said, we have a municipal election in Saskatoon in early November. We have a provincial election on the 28th. And as communications leader at Sherbrooke, I am in charge of making sure everything goes smoothly for both those votes. So if we had a federal one, my head might explode a bit. But we've got 2 out of the 3.
Right, because I was going to say, I'm like, please tell me I didn't miss that. And then, of course, the U.S. election.
Yes, that's
which,
cool, yeah.
which like occupies so much airspace.
Yes.
Or headspace, depending on like what news outlet you happen to follow. And so I think it's just like all of the noise, and it just like comes at you, and whether like you're driving down your street and like lawn signs and all of these things, and it's like everything has become so extremely polar, and it's just like it's this or it's that, it's one way. And like I think where I say election season's on my mind, it's like we have done this like straight line into judgment over that of curiosity. And I'm going to say that I'm as guilty as anybody when it comes for like really coming at people with my soapbox as to maybe why we need to vote a certain way, as opposed to becoming more curious as to why someone doesn't or does, or the way that maybe I approach people who knock on my door asking if they can count on my vote. And maybe some people I'm very warm to and others that I'm not. And it's just like, I don't think like hostile is the right word, but it's just everywhere right now. And I mean, that's great. We should all vote. But I think that that's also why it's on my mind, because it's like, regardless of where you stand, I just also want to say, vote. Mm-hmm. Do your research though.
Yes.
Individually.
When a candidate comes to your door, like I have a hard time picturing you being like hostile, but like what's that like? Because we've had a few come to our doors as well, but what is it like when they knock on your door?
Well, one, it's always at the worst time, right? It's like, I think this goes for anyone who's doing like, whether it be campaigning or like door-to-door sales. Hot tip, like just read the room. Like this is now like going on a tangent as it does, but it's like I will like have the door open, probably like smoke in the kitchen, a kid crying, another one asking me a million questions, and I'm like, hi, do you have a moment? I'm like, does it look like I've had a moment in 7 years? And it's like, and they're like, oh, I'm like, now is really not a good time. And I understand I'm blowing them off, as most people have, just kind of, they don't want to talk to it, but it's like they keep trying to ask questions sometimes, and I'm like, could you just acknowledge, just like, I see that now is not a great time. Mm-hmm. Do you want me to come back later? Or like, it's amazing what happens when someone just acknowledges what they see in front of them, as opposed to being like, I'm going to give my quick, like 30-second pitch in 3 seconds, and I'm going to try and get you. It's like, you are not going to change my mind, or you're not going to engage me when you don't even acknowledge like what you see around right now. And
you're probably not in the right headspace to even listen.
No. And it's like, I literally have just done pickups, got home from work. Like, we're just trying to prioritize the entire evening / 2 hours of witching hours. Yeah. And it's like, hey, can I have a moment to talk to you about whatever it is? And it's like, no. The answer will always be no. Yeah. So that's like a whole other tangent that you can choose to probably edit out. But no, the approach, it's interesting. It's like when I have the time, or like I don't have 100 things on the go, I am always curious when I see it, being like, I wonder what the approach is going to be. I wonder if you want to understand, the sounds of Riversdale. Yeah. Alarm on the car, if it's not yours. Like, whether they're like genuinely coming to understand where I stand, mm-hmm. or if it's just like this checklist of like, can we count on your vote? It's like, mm-hmm. No, yes, or like, why are you asking this question? Like, tell me what this information does for you. Yeah. Because it's like, I've had parties come and, can we count on your vote? And I'm like, absolutely not. Yeah. Like, never. And then they'll be like, well, why? And I'll give a couple explanations. And then my phone gets a text 2 hours later being like, hi, this is so-and-so from so-and-so party. Can we count? And then it's like, I know, right? And you're like, no. Yeah. Like, I know it's not all connected, but it's like everyone's making a lot of noise and no one's paying attention. And that's just what it feels like sometimes. Yeah. Especially when it's maybe like the party or the group or the sales that you don't want or you're not aligned with. You're just like inconvenienced by it. Mm-hmm. Versus like, or it's a smear campaign. Mm-hmm. I remember one time and probably a party that like I am more supportive of, came and is like telling me everything that the other party's doing. And I just remember saying, like, I would have had more time for you if you would speak to me about your platform. I'm not interested in hearing you talk about what you understand the other person to be doing.
Yeah.
Tell me about your party.
Yeah.
That's what I want to hear. Like, I'm not here for a smear campaign. And they were like, you know what I mean? And I kind of got the look, and then they were like, fair enough, and then away they went, right? But I just, again, there's just like a lot of noise, and there's a lot of judgment, and there's a lot of hostility. Like, even people saying, like, I've never had lawn signs until this year. And they're like, and I just feel like I need to take this stance. And then people are like, then we engage in conversations, but like, oh, like, yeah, right? Like, we don't do lawn signs. I'm like, we don't really want to like out ourselves in our neighborhood, or this feels like we're sharing secrets, you know? And it's just, it's fascinating, Eric.
Yeah.
I think.
You just mentioned a word that's sort of been on my mind a bit, the word conversations. Do you just feel like, because what I'm struggling with is that I totally agree with you. There's so much noise out there, and I feel there's so much talking, but like no one's really listening. Do you sort of feel that way too? And then B, like, and this is, I don't know if you can answer this question, but like, how do we change that where people like are not only talking but actually are listening to each other?
Oh my gosh, right? Like, I think so many people, and I think regardless of where you stand, it's like they just want to see change. Like, I feel like part one is like, we've been talking about change for a really long time and we've not seen change. So it's like, so do we just keep talking? Like, is this what we're just going to keep doing, is talking about the thing? But there's like no action, and there's no outcomes. And how are we measuring the outcomes? And then how are we holding people responsible and accountability to the outcomes? And I think that has been the vicious cycle that everyone has used against each other too, where it's like, yeah, well, like, your party this or your party, you know, and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, get out of the sandbox, like, stop throwing sand. And then that piece about conversation, it's just like, I think, just ask people, like, what's important to you? I think that would be curious, like, not like, our party's doing this, or this is what we're doing, or, you know, we're going to do this. Because I think the critical thinkers and those of us who have educated us, like, not educated, but like educated ourselves in, you know, whatever we want to vote. And it's like, right, but like, we also know the reality of what it's like to make those platforms come to fruition. Yeah. You know, it's like, yeah, we can go on any platform, but now, like, we need to see it happen, or it can take a really long time, right? But it's like, just like, even ask me, like, what's important to me?
I really like that question.
Right? Like, you know, what matters to you? And I mean, I think no matter where you vote right now, everyone is going to still say education, healthcare, economy, right? Like, we've kind of got these like three big pillars that seem to be like also like working against each other. And like, we're now taking our kids and using them as these like pawns, like, where it's like, I'll care for your kids more. And it's like, well, okay, stop, and just like go to the house and just say, like, you know, what is important to you? And like, I think if you just listen to what people say, you could probably walk away with an understanding is maybe like where their vote's going. Or if you've got somebody on the fence, maybe you'll convince them, maybe you won't. But like, I think best case scenario, you're just going to get them out to vote. Yeah. Because I think that's the whole piece, that like, we're failing in getting people to the polls.
Yeah, I didn't realize, like, the last election, I think it was just over 50%. Yeah. Like, that's not very good.
It's not. No. Like, it's, you know, and even then we're like, oh, you know, better. And I'm like, no, like, it's still so low. Like, people just don't believe that it matters. Yeah. Or they're like, I don't want to vote for anyone, or, you know, and I'm just like, I get it. But like, I just think we need to at least get people out to vote. Yeah. Because otherwise, like, the polar beliefs are going to show up, you know, and that's great too, but it's like, but everyone needs to show up, needs to bring their voice to the polls.
I was just thinking too, like that to go back to that question you asked in terms of like what matters to you. I feel like if that question was asked more and people really listened, maybe there wouldn't be so, like, because I agree, there's so much polarization. Like, I think that's such a good question, because I think once people start talking and people listen, they might realize, oh, maybe we're not as like far away, like as polarized as we are. Like what matters to us is we have a lot in common, perhaps.
Right. And like we are more alike than we are different. I think the approach to how we facilitate change and support it will be very different. I think also beliefs, how we believe to support and care for our unhoused and our most marginalized can be voiced in very different ways. You know, it's interesting when, you know, someone might say safety, but forgetting that, like, right, but safety is also found in caring for our unhoused and in dealing with basic needs. And again, if we could just get people to have conversations about, like, what does that mean? What does it actually mean? How do we actually achieve this? What does this actually look like? What is the funding to this? What is, you know, not even cost, what is the investment in this? And I think we look at everything as an expense and cost, and it's like, these are humans, these are human lives. Like, how are we investing in our economy, in our social structures? Because, I mean, yeah, I'm going all Pollyanna, but I'm like, don't they, like, isn't it all important? Yeah. You know, can you really have one without the other?
I sometimes get frustrated too when I wish discussions would happen more, conversations would happen more with people that are like perhaps most impacted or like that are like on the front lines. That I know that term gets used a lot of work, but just like I wish those conversations would happen more between the people that are doing the work and the people that are in the decision making process.
Yeah, like and like listening to understand. Right? Because like that's what's being missed is when we do go to the front lines, I find that the intent is still to push an agenda. And I feel like we can feel that. We're not stupid. You know, and even the people being interviewed, you know, typically like they're often, and I'm not saying this as a slight, like pushing an agenda they support. Like, of course, you've got a voice, like you've got the microphone, do that. But I think it's like, if we could go in with an intent to like listen to understand, I just think we're getting better stories. And I mean, you know this, you do this all the time on this podcast, like you literally listen to understand. I don't know of a guest of yours that doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, Eric's actually trying to like hear me with no agenda, just hear. Yeah. And I mean, we don't do that, especially in our political climate. We don't do that, and it's just like everybody is having to like yell, and we're like, whatever it is, like crabs in a bucket, trying to like climb out on top of each other, and like who's going to get the dollar, right? Because it's like there's not enough to go around, like scarcity, and I mean right now, like no one, I don't think anyone's winning.
Listen to understand.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, gosh, not only in politics, like just in everyday life. At a family meeting even.
Right, listen, do you know how many times I have to listen to understand? 7, you know, and I'm like, oh, okay, I acknowledge you, you know, and you're like deep shoulders. It's like sometimes, you know, our house feels like a political climate. But like, it's true. It's amazing when like you go right into like, I'm going to listen to understand. Again, that takes capacity, right? It would be great. It would be great if we all just had this capacity to like take the time to understand, because it takes time, right? But again, the theme, like we've talked about this many times in many different ways, like listening to understand is like the first step to acknowledgement. We want to go right to like fixing, or oftentimes like we jump right over acknowledgement and go right into like Me Too. And I'm not talking about like the Me Too movement. I'm just saying like, we're like, oh, I can connect with this. And someone is like sharing something vulnerably, or like talking, even if it's about like how they're voting or what their frustrations are. And rather than acknowledging first and being like, oh, wow, yeah, we go, oh my gosh, me too. That happened to me too. I experienced that. And now the person who's just shared first, who put the hook in the water first, just like put themselves out there, is like, yeah, you too. Okay. But you know, we just like skip over acknowledgement all of the time. I mean, our work in reconciliation, like we want to jump over acknowledgement and go to solution. And it's like, you don't get to do that. Like the hard, uncomfortable work is an acknowledgement in everything. But we just leapfrog that all the time. Yeah.
I was, well, but it's true, and it's yeah. I wish it was. And then there's a part of my brain right now was like, well, Lisa, fix this for us. But but you're right. You're right. The hard work is in the acknowledging of it. But if we're not listening to understanding, then that happens.
It's really, really uncomfortable to sit in that space of acknowledgement, and because sometimes we're gonna be like, like you just sit in there like, oh crap, I was the one who screwed up, or I said the wrong thing, or like, oh, okay, right? Like that's really uncomfortable. And I mean, the celebration is way more fun, right? Or the fixing is more fun. The dopamine lives after usually acknowledgement. And we don't love being uncomfortable.
I give you a lot of credit for wanting to talk about this, because I think for a lot of people it is hard to talk about like politics, and it's so right now in Saskatoon. If there are any listeners right now who are outside of Saskatoon, like you're right, politics it's everywhere in this city right now because of provincial election and municipal, like it's everywhere. But I sure enjoyed listening to you talk about it and how you're feeling, and I know listeners do as well. But because it's not easy stuff to talk about, but it's important.
It is important, and it's just like, regardless of like where you stand or what your beliefs are, it's like that's the whole point of democracy. And just educate yourself and just go vote. Don't worry about sharing your stance if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But just, I don't think any mind is ever changed by shoving beliefs down someone's throat, right? So it's like, so even if that is your agenda, like just get curious about maybe why someone then is voting a certain way, or why they have those beliefs. I think we're so quick to be like, how could you? Like I'm raising my hand. Like I'm the first one to be like, what? But it's like, instead of just like taking that pause and being like, okay, help me understand. And actually not come at it then with like, now I have my argument and we're gonna like litigate until you're on my side. It's not about that. It's just like understanding, like, okay, I just want to understand where you're coming from, and just walk away. Right? Like if that's what we can do for step one, I mean, I think that's better than just shouting at each other.
I would agree. Lisa, thank you for this.
Thank you, Eric.